They say the mountains hold secrets that the forests whisper to those who listen. I never believed in those stories until the winter of my 17th year. That was when I first saw him. That was when my life, my very existence, was split in two. It happened in a small village in Slovenia, nestled deep in the Julian Alps. A place where ancient traditions never truly die, where the old ways still flicker beneath the surface of modern life. My grandmother used to tell me stories about the Carenti, the wild, masked figures that drove away evil spirits before spring. But there was always another legend, one darker, one never spoken of lightly. Krampus, or as the old folks sometimes called him in hushed voices, Hoodie, the devil himself. Unlike the Carenti, who were mischievous but meant to protect, Krampus was something else entirely. The twisted shadow of Saint Nicholas, the one who came for the wicked, dragging them to a fate worse than death. I used to think he was just a myth. I should have listened. The first snowfall came early that December. The air was sharp, slicing through my lungs like a blade. The sky was bruised purple, the mountains looming like silent sentinels over our little village. That night, the Krampuslauf was in full swing. Men dressed as Krampus flooded the streets, rattling chains and swinging birch branches, their grotesque masks illuminated by flickering torchlight. I was there with my friends, laughing as the costumed figures lunged at passers-by, sending children screaming. The air smelled of mulled wine and burning wood, the ground crunching beneath our feet. But then I saw him. He wasn't like the others. His mask wasn't a mask. The horns curling from his skull looked real, their surface rough like ancient bark. His eyes, deep set beneath a furrowed brow, glowed like embers in a dying fire. His body was enormous, wrapped in thick, blackened fur, matted and stinking of damp earth and decay. Heavy chains hung from his shoulders, dragging across the ground, leaving deep scars in the snow. His claws long, curved things dripped with something dark. He wasn't part of the parade. He wasn't playing a role. He was watching me. And then the whisper came. A voice like wind through dead leaves. Low, guttural, ancient. Face what you fear the most. I turned sharply. But there was no one there. That night, sleep was impossible. My mind buzzed with the image of him, the way his glowing eyes had locked onto mine. My room felt too small, too suffocating. Then came the whisper again. But this time, it came from outside. Before I even realized what I was doing, I was stepping into the freezing air, the snow swallowing my footprints as I moved toward the woods. The village behind me was silent, but the forest was breathing. The air inside was thick, pressing against my skin like unseen hands. My breath came in thin, sharp gasps. The trees loomed, their skeletal branches curling like fingers, reaching for something unseen. Then I saw them. Massive hoof prints, leading through the snow. I followed them, heart pounding in my chest. And then the world went still. The night was suddenly too silent. No wind, no rustling trees, no distant sounds of the village. Then came the chains. A soft rattling, growing closer. A shadow stretched across the snow. Then he stepped forward. I should have run. I should have screamed. But I couldn't. Krampus stood before me, his towering form outlined against the moonlight. He smelled of burnt wood and rotting leaves, like something that had crawled out of the deepest pit of the forest. His breath came in heavy, slow gusts, steam curling into the freezing night air. He tilted his head, studying me. Then he moved. Not like a man. Not like anything human. His body stretched and shrank all at once, as if he were made of shadow and smoke, shifting between forms my mind couldn't comprehend. Then he raised one clawed hand and pointed at me, and the ground beneath me split open. I fell, tumbling into a darkness that swallowed me whole. When I woke up, I was in a cave, the walls slick and pulsing like something alive. The air was thick, heavy, wrong. And then the whisper came again. Face what you fear the most. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward. It was me, or something that looked like me, but its eyes, they were empty, hollow, a black void. Krampus watched, his grin stretching impossibly wide. "A gift," he rumbled. "This one will live your life. You belong to me now. I tried to fight, tried to claw my way out. But the moment I lunged at my duplicate, I sank into the floor as if the shadows themselves had swallowed me. I screamed. And then I woke up. I sat up, gasping in my bed, drenched in sweat. The first light of morning crept through my window. Had it all been a nightmare? I wanted to believe that. Until I walked downstairs and saw myself sitting at the kitchen table, drinking coffee, smiling at my mother, chatting like nothing had changed. I froze. My blood turned to ice. That wasn't me. It turned, and its eyes locked onto mine. And slowly, so very slowly, it smiled. That was the last time I ever saw my home. I ran, I don't know where Krampus took me that night. I don't know what I became, but I know one thing. I am not human anymore. Every year, when the first snowfall comes, I hear the bells, the chains rattling in the wind, and I know, somewhere out there, Krampus is still watching, still choosing, and one day, one winter's night, he'll come again, maybe for you.